Chapter 1 Lost Ones. A kingdom known as Octosi was barricaded away from the outside world in the west. With only a little knowledge, everyone followed the king's order, even if it was to walk towards their own death. The kingdom is led by King Gerald, a vicious man with no remorse. Summarizing everything the king had done to his kingdom, all of it was not a pleasant memory, even for his children, the young royalties. They all didn't have a good childhood. They don't want to inherit the throne, and that decision led to their deaths. Out of 12 siblings, 3 remain till this day. The oldest son, aged 32, born from a concubine who soon faced death. The 7th son, aged 27, born to the 5th queen who soon died after his birth. And the 5th princess, the last child of the king, Hituka. She was a naive girl who wanted to find love and freedom, venturing into the outside walls with no one watching. It was a short freedom she could only experience by herself. At age 18, she found where she belonged. The place wasn't as luxurious as her home, but it was filled with love. There she met her true love, Tadashi, a young man living in poverty. He was not rich, but he aspires to be a writer, a dream not everyone can accomplish, and Hituka adored him because of that. Do you think Father will accept us? I don't know, but with all my heart, I hope so. And Hituka, should we go back now? The couple is side by side, head by head, close as ever. But they don't know how much of a mistake they were making. Spending time outside of the walls was not a great decision, especially in spring. Shall we go back, Dashi? Hituka smiles so sweetly, reaching a hand out. Yeah, we should. Tadashi reaches for her hand and stands beside her. A smile showed in his face, and he stares at her loving hands that intertwined with his. When he glances at her, he notices that she is staring elsewhere, her face pallid. He followed her gaze into the forest, where he spotted a figure, a dark shape larger than anything he'd seen before. As he gazed, the figure became more and more visible, as if it were walking towards them. When he realized what it was, he gasped and grabbed Hituka's arm, sprinting away. A demon that feeds in human blood and is known for changing appearance to confuse its prey. Despite its lovely name, a fairy is a monster you cannot avoid. While pulling Hituka, Tadashi was thinking about a lot of things, the most important of which was their safety. He was afraid, but what ran to his mind was, let her be safe at the very least. As the creature came beside them, he pulled Hituka in his direction, avoiding its claws. He held her so tightly, afraid of letting go while she passed out. He carefully carried her while still running for his life. Stumbling left and right, he shouted for help, but no one heard him. His tears started to spill, and he fell. He was scared, but what could he do? The light reflected to the small window and into his eyes. He awoke to find himself shackled to a bed. The soldier warned him not to move for further inspection, but all he wanted to do was find Hituka. After a week in detainment, a trial was held under his name. He was a criminal for violating the kingdom's constitution, and the punishment would be severe. He kept his head low as he had no defense. It was him against the law itself. Other than that, he was a commoner with no status. Tadashi Yamaguchi, do you plead guilty? Yes, Your Honor. I plead guilty. People exclaimed, knowing it wasn't his fault. The princess was known to be wild and had dragged most people into her schemes, including Tadashi, though they did not expect him to lie. As the judges discussed their judgment, the courtroom began to fill with whispers. Even for themselves, they knew the young man was innocent, but on the king's watch, they cannot move rashly, or they may also lose their status. The decision was made in less than 30 minutes. Mr. Tadashi will be sentenced to 30 years in prison for violating Rule 34. No civilians will be allowed to be outside the law unless they have written permission from the king himself, and for the death of the Princess Hituka. The board then dismissed. It was as always. The court never lasted beyond an hour when it's connected to the princess. It was always a quick decision under the supervision of the king. The guards led Adachi back to the prison cell, as they did it more respectfully than they usually do. They pitied the young man, being imprisoned for 30 long years for a crime he did not even mean to do. Tadashi leaned his back against the wall. The only thing in his mind was Hituka. A tear trailed up his face. As expected, he wished for his safety. A month had passed, and Tadashi had not been at his best. He refused to eat any food he was given, or even move out of his bed, and his friends were worried about his behavior. Tadashi. Kosan. Today, they are in the Kanjigaru, where Koshi decided to make a surprise visit. Though he wasn't expecting it was this bad. Tadashi has dark under-eye circle, and he looks like he hasn't taken a bath for a long time. His clothes were in a mess, and so was his hair. Not the typical Tadashi would always see wearing a formal suit and suitcase. As if the young man went into hell. Sugawara Kochi was an upperclassman and a close friend to Tadashi back in the University. Since they both had gone with a scholarship, they became close as ever. Though Kochi already graduated 2 years ago and now is a baker that owns a large shop on the east wall. Tadashi, what are you thinking? Look at you. You're a mess. Hituka would kill you if she sees this. Kosan, she's dead. Tadashi, pull yourself together. Do you even know how worried we were? Hituka suddenly went missing and you went to court for breaking the law. No contact at all. Like, seriously? Tsukishima almost threatened the guard just to see you, you know. Luckily, who will save his ass? Am I supposed to be happy about this? Why are you even here, Kosan? He scoffed in annoyance, bringing his hand to his hair to rub it. I'm here to see you. It's as simple as that. Can't you at least be happy? We all know you weren't at fault, Tadashi. The king is just a jerk. You know, you could go to prison for saying that. Fuck that. I'm just telling the truth. Anyway, here. Koshi slid the bracelet to him, and a bitter smile formed for a second. Why do you have this? The guards took this along with my stuff. He clenches his hand to avoid grabbing the object. Well, that's a secret, but Hituka, she's alive. What do you mean? I saw her being taken. But did you see her die? You didn't, right? How are you so sure, Kusan? He reaches out for the bracelet and clenches it. Koshi takes the bracelet in Tadashi's hand and leans back to his chair. He looks at the bracelet, dangling it to the light. We never told you before, but this bracelet contains magic. If the stone breaks, the person who is wearing the other pair is gone. But the bracelet is fine. She's probably alive, for now at least. Are you serious? Yeah. Why didn't you say so? Tadashi stood up, slamming the table in anger. Dear, do you even know how hard it was to meet you? So calm the fuck down. Sorry. It's fine, but fix yourself and take a bath, will you? You stink. He chuckled, and Tadashi did too. Alright. And